And while we try and get David Seymour, I will refer to this remarkable story, of course, in the paper. No. There it is. I saw it this morning and I thought, literally the first paragraph of this story, and I thought this is going to be rubbish, absolute rubbish. And I'll tell you why I knew that, because of the first paragraph and the way it was worded. Here it is.
Have you always wanted to visit India, but the hassle of planning and the intensity of group schedules is putting you off? Hi, I'm Craig, owner and tour leader of Maharaja Tours. With 40 years experience travelling India, I curate stress-free luxury tours where you can expect top hotels, easy travel, excellent guides and delicious food. Visit my website www.maharajatours.co.nz and explore your options for touring incredible India.
It's by climate change reporter. Oh, no, it's by Ellen O'Dwyer of Radio New Zealand, and the Post publishes her stuff. So it's a story you've paid for through Radio New Zealand. Now, firstly, a major new report. Who says it's major? A major new report is warning, that more than 1,000 seaside homes could suffer significant damage from... Okay, can't do video. Okay, look, I'll come back to that. What a morning we're having, Bella. It's all your fault. Let's talk education. And just the intro to this, really. The latest Education Review Office, ERO report into school attendance in New Zealand shows that attendance is up, and attitudes to attendance are improving. 73% of students now think daily attendance is important, compared to 67% in 2022. And parents who give a toss about their kids going to school and getting an education, that's improving too. In 2022, 41% of parents weren't too worried about their kids getting more than a week off school or having more than a week off school. That's only 31% now. To discuss what this means is the Minister, I guess, who would take credit for this change in attitude, David Seymour, the ACT Party leader. David, good morning to you.
Good morning, Sean.
This is a nice turnaround, isn't it? That more people in the education system care about the education system.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say we're at a time when a lot of people are looking for a bit of hope in New Zealand, and that's just to acknowledge that, it's been a hard winter economically. But there's one number that I always think is the most important for New Zealand's future, and that's how many children went to school. Because if we have a population that is passing knowledge from one generation to the next, then that next generation has a real prospect of making the most and facing the challenges that they face. On the other hand, an uneducated population can squander great prosperity. And so I believe that this number, that attitudes towards going to school have actually really picked up, as a huge positive. Now, obviously it is driven by students. They have to want to go to school. That's the number one thing that drives it, but that's backed up by parents and the expectations set by educators. All three of those numbers have gone up quite significantly in the last 3 years. And yes, I think it's in part because the government has been saying actually education does matter.
Yeah, look, can I ask you, I haven't seen like a wall-to-wall advertising campaign with DEI hired actors saying woke stuff about going to school. How has this changed, or has there been a more targeted advertising and awareness campaign, or is it the stick, or is it the carrot? How did you move these numbers?
Well, there has been local targeted online campaigning where in different communities we've taken a person who might be a successful sports person in the community and they've gone on and said, look, I went to school, it was good for me, you should consider it too. So there has been some advertising. There's also been more broad messaging from government. For example, when I got this job, we looked at the health advice, and you might remember we got a bit ridiculed for this at the time, but we looked at what they do in the UK, and they say, you know what, sometimes if you have a cold, it's still okay to go to school. Previously, the advice was, look, if there's any question, just stay home. That was the wrong message. We've also said that fines are back on the table, and while they haven't taken a prosecution yet, the Ministry of Education has received quite a number of schools saying, look, we would like to prosecute someone. And I think that's probably had a bit of an effect, because when I travel around the country and talk to attendance officers and principals and deputy principals and deans, they say, look, you know what we actually need is some teeth, because we try and ask people, what are the barriers and why aren't you attending? But sometimes we come across people who just aren't. Another thing that we've done is we've got out there and said, you know what, we're going to totally reform the way that we do the attendance service, because in many areas we've been paying taxpayer money for attendance officers who haven't actually been delivering.
They've been having the day off too, have they?
I'm not so sure about that. There's just been some contractors that were there for a long time and they weren't delivering the results. We cancelled all contracts. We rehired, and those ones will start next year. So we've been pretty active in this area, saying, look, this is a priority for the government. Also, remember, we set a goal that by the end of the decade, we're going to have 80% regular attendance. A couple of years ago, it was down at 46. Now it's in the high 50s, low 60s. So
you're going to keep that goal. What is it? You want 80% of students being present for more than 90% of the term by 2030?
Yep, and we've basically gone from 40 to 60 in the first 2 years. That means we're halfway.
So if you graph that, you're going to get there, aren't you? You're going to get there. Mind you, I imagine the last few recalcitrant peoples are going to be the hardest to get back to school.
Yeah, they will be, and a lot of this is about habit. So if you're someone who hasn't been attending for a long time, it's hard for you to get back. I mean, that's one area where charter schools are actually helping, because they're taking children that are totally split from the system as far as their old school. Charter schools offer new options, and I go to charters and I meet kids who say, I hadn't actually been going for 2 years, now I am, because I'm being offered something different. So, all of these things we're doing are making a difference, but it's ultimately the student, the parent, and the educator that has to make the difference.
Are you concerned that some of these people are going to school more are Trump boys? Because the PPTA seems dreadfully worried about Trump boys and extremist students.
I've been really interested in that survey that came out about a month ago, basically saying that boys have poor attitudes. I'm sure that that's true in some cases. I'd be surprised if it wasn't, but actually all sorts of people have poor attitudes. And I think it's fair to say that the way that education's been done for the last 20 years hasn't always been great for boys, and I think some of the changes that we're making, indeed some of the charter schools that have been set up, are schools that are more attractive to boys. So that's another little subplot in education that I think probably needs more attention than it gets.
Yeah. Of course, a lot of kids going to have the day off school, isn't there? A national strike that all the teachers are going to take part in the Friday before Labour weekend, or Labour Day on the Monday this month.
Yeah, and that's another finding in this big survey from the Education Review Office. It doesn't help encourage students to attend regularly if the school's not open regularly. And I just say, look, these guys need to negotiate in good faith. Doing one big organised strike together when each of them in their different unions have been supposedly negotiating in good faith, I would hope that they haven't been planning to go on one big strike all along while we've been trying to cut a deal with them, get people back to work and get people a better deal in their remunerations. That remains to be seen.
I hate to say it.
I think a lot of parents wish that they'd take the holidays, do the strike in the holidays when they say they're working.
Yeah. Oh no, that wouldn't inconvenience anyone. Look, I'm amazed at the texts I'm getting on this. People really understand, and I look at the actions of Erica Stanford and this government as well. People really get that education, not right now, it doesn't bring your mortgage rate down. It's not opening a new business or anything, but people are invested in the idea, and I think get the idea that education is the building block of success for this country, 1, 2, 3 generations down the road.
Have you always wanted to visit India, but the hassle of planning and the intensity of group schedules is putting you off? Hi, I'm Craig, owner and tour leader of Maharaja Tours. With 40 years experience traveling India, I curate stress-free luxury tours where you can expect top hotels, easy travel, excellent guides and delicious food. Visit my website www.maharajatours.co.nz and explore your options for touring incredible India.